Greetings and welcome to the GAIM Ops West conference at Monarch Beach Resort, Dana Point, California. I'm Dr. Yogesh Malhotra, Yogi, from New York State-based Global Risk Management Network, LLC. The title of my keynote is The Evolution of Risk Management in a World of Uncertainty, How We Create the Digital Future, and You Can Too. We have been fortunate to work with top-ranked firms, governments, and institutions as our clients, including Wall Street hedge funds and investment banks such as Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, tech firms such as Google, IBM, Intel, Microsoft, marketing firms such as Ogilvy, Big Four consulting such as Accenture and PwC, US and world governments such as Switzerland and Netherlands, finance and risk associations such as CFA and PRMIA, and institutions such as Harvard, MIT, and Princeton. We bridge gaps between business and technology, data and knowledge, theory and practice, as Fortune wrote about us, obsoleting what we know before others do so, as written in an Inc. magazine interview. Our self-adaptive complex systems ventures lead global organizations as industry benchmarks reviewed in the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times, and related interviews in CIO Magazine and CIO Insight. Starting with beta, the first web browser, we advanced beyond data processing to managing radical dynamic change, uncertainty, and complexity as global worldwide pioneers of digital transformation. With world-leading R&D on why systems fail, ranked among Nobel laureates, we advanced beyond the hype of AI and quantum computing, building practices that can withstand dynamic adversarial uncertainty. Such dynamic adversarial uncertainty is evident in case of many such post-COVID events, including the cyber and ransomware attacks on SolarWinds and Continental Pipeline, among others shown here. We have condensed our applied lessons based on practices applied by specific clients as the Silicon Valley, Wall Street, Pentagon, global digital pioneer, examples of which are shown here. Listing the above lessons in terms of problems and related potential solutions, we show them in terms of problem 1 through 6. Problem 1 being about data. All data is about the past and all decisions are about the future. We resolve this problem by advancing beyond prediction based on historical data to anticipation of surprise going back to early 1990s. The problem 2 is form of models. All models are wrong, yet all algorithms are reliant upon models. To overcome this problem, we have pioneered model risk management and model risk arbitrage practices. Problem 3 relates to algorithms. There is no master algorithm, even though there is a best-selling book of the same name, because different tribes have different masters and there is no consensus between Bayesians, symbolists, and correctionists. Therefore, based on our experience working with algorithms for about 3 decades, we focus on deploying common sense, sense-making, and intuition, as AI doesn't have any of these attributes. The problem 4 relates to risks. Fragmented risks across domain silos result in systemic risks which cross multiple domains. Therefore, we focus on integrative understanding of risks crossing multiple domains and primarily focus on managing non-normal, non-linear risks and uncertainty, because these are often latent or hidden by adversarial dynamic uncertainty. Problem 5 relates to AI supremacy. Based on our understanding, AI supremacy is a myth, and so is quantum supremacy. That is because both AI and quantum computing technologies are reliant upon resilience and sustainability of their command and control systems. Minus such command and control, such technologies are sitting ducks to be waiting to be taken out by hackers and others. Problem 6, we have the new fad of Metaverse, where every vendor is trying to sell one's own version of what they call Metaverse. We would like all of you to focus on building your own Metaverse to manage quantum uncertainty and time-space complexity. We cut across the hype to help you understand how you can actually do so, as we have been doing, pioneering digital transformation, starting with beta version of the first web browser. Again, we resolve problem one by advancing beyond historical data-driven prediction to anticipation of surprise. Practices followed by enterprises like Goldman Sachs, and stated as follows. The future is moving so quickly that you can't anticipate it. We have put a tremendous emphasis on quick response. Instead of planning, we will continue to be surprised, but we won't be surprised that we are surprised. We will anticipate the surprise. My CIO magazine interview likewise underscored the need for industry enterprises to adopt flexible anticipation of surprise, advancing beyond models driven by historical data. That was more than a decade before the CEOs of world's top investment banks, such as Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, made headlines on this topic. Our digital pioneering venture, Brint, has been a pioneer of the future of finance since early 1990s. It has been advancing finance beyond prediction to anticipation of surprise since that time, and has been adopted and recommended by industry leaders from enterprises like Goldman Sachs, Microsoft, PwC, and US Army, Navy, and Air Force. Our ML Exchange venture welcomes digital CEOs and CxOs from global startups to trillion-dollar firms to know beyond past data to future decisions, actions, and performance. ML Exchange is building the future of search, learning, and work, and it represents the Silicon Valley's next big thing, having led and guided Silicon Valley VCs and CEOs on building human-centered networks for the Wild Wide Web. That was about 2 decades ago. Similarly, our C4I cyber venture focuses on leading CEOs-CxOs beyond prediction, black swans, and uncharted territories. We resolve the problem 2 of model risk by pioneering the innovations in model risk management and model risk arbitrage. My 3 Princeton presentations advance practical applications of Knightian uncertainty, building on world-leading knowledge management and dynamic adversarial change management, R&D, leading global practices over the last 20 years or so. We recommend you to know the math underlying your models. More importantly, know the limitations of that math, and most importantly, use intuition to accommodate above limitations. This is the focus of our model risk arbitrage innovation, which was the focus of R&D presentation at Princeton. We build smart minds using smart tools smartly, as discussed in my LinkedIn article, inspired by Rentec and Deshaw, looking to quantum computing for edge, and also published in industry interviews, such as with the Institute for Supply Management. Our cyber finance practices advance the emerging future of finance. Researchers and practitioners by recognizing cyber risk as the predominant risk that can subsume most traditional financial risks, such as credit risks and market risks. We propose 2 new financial innovations: model risk arbitrage for open systems finance. Model risk arbitrage is profit maximization strategy for the global financial markets, characterized by uncertainty and complexity, related feedback, and feed-forward loops across time and space in non-deterministic open systems finance. This has been the subject of one of our Princeton presentations. We draw upon our controls frameworks, R&D, leading organizations such as NASA and big banks to examine socio-psychological control of social influence and cybernetic systems controls, with systems engineering focus on AI governance and control, this being the focus of another Princeton presentation. We help CEOs-CxOs understand emerging cyber risks, increasingly intertwined with financial risk, shedding light on emerging cyber risks threatening survival of national and regional economies, business enterprises, and information infrastructures, as presented at one of the New York State cybersecurity conferences sponsored by the state governor. We also help CEOs and CxOs understand that AI machine learning technologies deployed for automation and optimization may also provide the adversary with deception, manipulation, and attack capabilities to launch sophisticated cyber attacks. And therefore, these require risk mitigation. This has been the focus of another invited presentation for the State of New York Cybersecurity Conference. With a focus on adversarial uncertainty and time-space complexity, we build CEO-CxO recognition of critical significance of resilience and sustainability of command and control systems, including adversarial command and control and counter-adversarial command and control. These have been the focus of multiple presentations, including a recent New York State invited presentation on cybersecurity. You can download our latest industry presentations and papers from our SSRN author page. These publications and presentations have yielded 84 top 10 R&D rankings, top 1% author ranking, and show in excess of 11,000 downloads. And these have advanced on our prior R&D, which is ranked for impact among Nobel laureates, which you can access from my Google Scholar page and Amazon author page. Having published the first paper on human-centered AI, I've advised 1,000 MIT management leadership executives in developing and deploying AI strategy roadmaps. With focus on AI, machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing, and robotic process automation, I directly supervised 200 of those executives from firms such as Google, Microsoft, Tesla, and Silicon Valley firms. Given applied understanding of development and deployment of AI algorithms, wherein many of the top award-winning algorithms have subsequently never been deployed in real production environments, we take an approach of using common sense, sense-making, and intuition based on experience in sensible and smart choices of most optimal algorithms for the specific tasks at hand, which we have deployed across worldwide organizations over the last 3 decades. We advance the global digital practices beyond algorithms with a focus on sense-making for a world characterized by risk and uncertainty. Our production, distribution, and consumption across time and space with efficiency, effectiveness, and optimization framework can help organizations, CEOs, and CxOs connect the digital, virtual, and financial domains, spanning activities like spot trading, forward contracts, futures, and options, and that too extended beyond traditional securities to the latest cryptocurrencies and so forth. We have developed the Cyber Finance Trust Framework to aid CEO-CxO understanding of how ongoing digitization, virtualization, and transformation of inter and intra-enterprise networks are contributing to convergence of financial and cyber risks. From offensive cybersecurity perspective, cyber risk vulnerabilities that can result in adversarial control of AI and quantum technologies indicate urgent need for command and control supremacy beyond the hype about AI and quantum supremacy. Our C4I cyber venture advances CEO-CxO understanding of adversarial and counter-adversarial command and control for mitigating such risks arising from dynamic adversarial uncertainty. The critical role of the electromagnetic spectrum influencing adversarial and counter-adversarial control of geostrategic defense and space technologies discussed by the Joint Chiefs of Staff is one such example where we have inspired and motivated the thinking prior to the release of the specific strategy document. We introduced the FinTech risk measures of fragile digital cyber finance markets, enterprises for CEO-CxO understanding of cyber finance risk management. As founders of world's top digital site, search engine, social network, we also built the world's first metaverse of global digital transformation virtual community network with millions of worldwide users. We now show illustrative examples of how our CEO-CxO practices development focus has been further refining the cyber finance risk metaverse. Here's an example of credit risk, market risk, liquidity risk, portfolio risk models, and technologies developed for the JP Morgan World Headquarters to manage $500 to $600 billion fund of funds. Another example on this slide is from the PRMIA curriculum advancement on quantitative risk management to include VAR, value at risk, and CVAR, conditional VAR, TVAR, tailed VAR, expected shortfall, and EVT, extreme value theory, preceding Buil's call, seen interest asking the industry for advancing beyond VAR. The related JP Morgan alternative investments portfolio discussion paper, which advances upon the Sloan Management Review article on Bayesian PAR for hedge funds, is another representative example advancing industry practices in this direction. The CFA Society keynote on auto machine learning with risk and uncertainty management focused on model risk management, further demonstrates how we can apply model risk management strategies with auto machine learning and other advanced technologies. The Journal of Financial Transformation special issue on alternative capital markets, with my paper on alternative assets and alternative risks, focused on AI augmentation and model risk management for AI, machine learning, and generative adversarial networks. That's another example, and this journal special issue would be of particular interest to those interested in alternative investments with particular focus on alternative risks. The Journal of Operational Risk paper on bridging networks, systems, and controls frameworks for cybersecurity professional certifications and industry standards is another example where we have focused on the application of cybersecurity standards and their advancement in banking and financial domains. Our State Street headquarters presentation, which bridges cyber finance and cyber warfare, is another example of advancing understanding about catastrophic risk modeling and related extreme risk models and methods in specific risk domains for alternative assets and other assets. The first postdoctoral quantitative finance thesis on cyber finance, risk, and uncertainty management on the computer science and network and computer security systems engineering advances upon my prior R&D recognized for impact among Nobel laureates Harry Markowitz, Black-Scholes, and William Sharp by the AACSB, the Global Business and Accounting Accredited Organization. My recent LinkedIn blog post on transitory inflation helps one reflect how does one ponder about transitory in time space, in past, present, and future. These are some issues which we examine further in the context of quantum metaverse, which we explain further. The time-space continua have also been discussed in my Princeton presentation on open systems finance and model risk arbitrage with focus on feedback and feed-forward loops. Similar time-space complexity and quantum uncertainty frameworks developed for the DoD defense and space applications, such as the Advanced Battle Management System and Joint All-Domain Command and Control are other examples where we have advanced practices related to cyber defense, which we are now bringing back to the areas of finance and alternative finance. Advancing on the R&D of Quantum Nobel laureate Roger Penrose, some constructs that we see as relevant to the future of business technology practices are quantum uncertainty and quantum minds based on self-adaptive complex systems. These are similar to our earlier innovations and R&D leading industry practices on themes like human-centered AI, meaning-driven AI, as well as knowledge management, the specific fields of global practices we pioneered 10 and 20 years ago. The AML Exchange venture provides the tools to build quantum minds and digital futures. Therefore, please make use of it. You can build, monetize your quantum metaverse using the frameworks, tools, and resources provided therein. It is our MVP for the DoD technologies in which we were involved by the Pentagon Chief Technology Officer from Air Force for development of technologies for DoD-wide AI machine learning enablement. And these technologies, as we came to know, are now being licensed for per site license fee of $30 million. The AML Exchange enables global CEO-CxO teams by accelerating business performance. In other words, saving you up to 90% time, cost, and resources without spending a dime, and minimizing execution risk with specific focus on resilience and sustainability from cyber and crypto perspective as we focus on the C4I cyber venture. And these ventures help you build, monetize digital ventures going into the future. Therefore, you can build digital enterprises to manage risk, uncertainty, and complexity, given our frameworks, models, methods, and tools provided at your disposal. You can as well also monetize the value and impact focused digital assets and digital ventures, as we have demonstrated as the world's original digital social enterprise, followed by worldwide leaders across Silicon Valley, Wall Street, Pentagon, and other global organizations. Having built the world's first, foremost, and largest global digital transformation network community with millions of users, we were the ones to create one of the early metaverses, adopted and recommended by world leaders such as Microsoft founder Bill Gates, PwC Vice Chairman Ellen Knapp, and many others. The software magazine wrote about us. A stimulating meeting of minds can occur in virtual venues such as Brint, where Brint was our Silicon Valley, Wall Street, Pentagon digital transformation network built from ground up, starting with the beta version of the first web browser. You can think of quantum uncertainty in terms of infinite possible pasts, presents, and futures that interconnect in millions of ways across time and space and time spaces. How would one reflect in that framework on questions such as, is inflation transitory or not, or something else? I showed you on earlier slide a picture from the movie Matrix. Therefore, the focus is on controls, where we have done a whole lot of R&D guiding industry practices across socio-technical as well as the systems engineering domains. And building on that, we are showing another couple of movies which can inspire your imagination in terms of understanding how the post-COVID truth which we are observing in reality is much more stranger than fiction, as shown in some of these movies, 2047 Virtual Reality and Inception, for example. Now consider dynamic and adversarial systems which are dynamically changing across time and space, from dynamic and adversarial uncertainty. These are the environments which are characterizing the post-COVID era in which we are living at this time. And on this screen, I show snapshots of Minority Report movie, where we are seeing a whole lot of applications of AI-based surveillance, command and control worldwide. And we have yet to see how those pan out across diverse domains and countries. One final note, that is about sense and sense making in addition to intuition. Now, these are the most key attributes which differentiate human knowledge, learning, and intelligence from machine-based learning, if we can call it so, and intelligence, which many question, such as MIT computer scientists and psychologists, they question if artificial intelligence is intelligence at all. And so do the top AI scholars, practitioners, including the top 3 Turing Award winners. These are the attributes. Even though AI cannot help us here, human intelligence in terms of sense and sense making is most critical for managing risks and uncertainty for dynamic adversarial uncertainty. We help you develop intuitive common sense of risk and uncertainty management in terms of the 6 problems and the potential solutions shared with you. We also help you recognize to manage systemic interconnected risks from dynamic adversarial uncertainty, cascading across diverse human-machine global networks, as we see in the post-COVID era, where we see finance intersecting with healthcare, intersecting with global government policies, geopolitical issues, as well as national security and defense. We also help you advance beyond data, model risk, master algorithm, fragmented risks, AI and quantum supremacy, and to manage quantum uncertainty and time-space complexity characterizing dynamic adversarial uncertainty. We create the digital future, and we welcome you to make good use of the provided frameworks, tools, and resources to create the digital future. Thank you. Now we open our session to questions.